are you?
We are live on YouTube.
Yeah, you want to,
Woohoo!
we could get this thing going here.
Okay, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Let me just start it off just saying that we're right on time, and thanks everybody for showing up early. So we're talking about the Oakland County Nominating Caucus. I'm going to be turning this over to Jim Becklin here pretty quick, and then he can introduce the chair and the secretary. But anyway, we're taking care of the sign-in. Let me just take this chance to mention that there's all kinds of things to keep your eye on. Like, for instance, texting, the text box. You can find the participants, list by looking at that, and other things. You can raise your hand if it comes time to, if we're taking stack for anything at all. And if you have any questions on how to do that, maybe this would be a good time to find out or even ask. Make sure that you know how to mute and unmute yourself, and that sort of stuff. Just the nuts and bolts on running the Zoom meeting. Does anybody have any questions about that, or are we all already experienced? And okay, good. Yeah, good.
I know someone who's going to be coming into it by telephone, but I don't see her listed yet.
Yeah, well, we won't shut the door on them, that's for sure. I do see somebody there. And so maybe, hey, Jean-Michel, can we find out who this is? We'll just let him come on in and tell us who he is, or is she. Okay.
One phone call came in, and then Bill Opalaki.
Okay, I'm going to unmute it. I just unmuted this one. Who are you, 40391? Ah. Oh, here we are. Bill. Let me take a look at Bill.
Hi, Bill. It's Bill.
Yeah, sorry for mispronouncing your name there.
Opal. Yeah. William. Bill's from Oakland County. He's been a member since April of 2018. And you're on the list. I could just ask everybody to check and see if you have an account on the website. If you don't, go ahead and create an account and update your profile information. Just make sure that we know who you are and how to get a hold of you. And you could upload a picture too, so that we recognize you when we see you. And so anyway, hey, Bill, can you hear me okay? Here, I'm going to unmute you or ask you to unmute yourself.
Nick Rowley joining the meeting.
Oh, thanks. I'll find out. Nick.
Hi, did you log me in? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Is that 0391?
I have no idea. It's Linda Myatt.
Are you on the phone?
Yes.
Yes, excellent.
Hi, Linda. You said Linda Myatt. Oh, and so you don't know who this Bill? You don't know who the Bill is? William is? And I
know Bill.
Nick Rowley.
I know who Bill is.
Okay.
Nick Rowley is a member.
Nick Rowley. Let me see.
Yeah.
ROW.
Nick is our candidate number 4.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course. And so I'm sorry about this, but we're talking about Linda Myatt is in here, right? And
She's a member.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't recognize her. See, that's what I'm trying to say. And so she's in.
She's under the name Linda Manning Myatt on the website.
Yeah, but who just logged in is Bill Opalis.
Opaliki.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's Bill. Yeah, that's Bill.
Oh, that's Bill. Is Linda the 40391?
Everyone is accounted for.
Where's Linda? That's what I'm trying to say.
Linda's the one on the phone.
I got you. Okay, thanks. Turn it over to Jim, right?
If you're ready.
Yep, I'll just say that we don't know how long Linda's been a member, but I guess that's because it's been a long time.
20 years.
Yeah, okay, we'll put that in. That's probably why we've all forgotten. Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Well, welcome all Green Party members, and especially the members of the Oakland County Greens, who tonight it's their caucus. I guess I will be running the show. We're going to hear from some candidates, take nominations from the floor, and then get consensus on the nominees running for office. We have 4 official at this point. I guess Sherry, who did you find as the secretary?
I put the request out to different people I knew and nobody answered me back. So I will be taking the notes.
Sherry is our official secretary. Tonight we will be taking, not along with lists or hearing from candidates, we will be taking nominations from the floor again. As you know, we're having the candidates do a short 3-minute presentation with Q&A afterwards. Questions will be limited to 30 seconds and the answers will be limited to a minute. At this point, our first, I guess we can go right ahead and begin. The first candidate or position we have that you guys have available is the state representative 27th District, Southeast Oakland. Before I go to Sherry, are there any nominations from the floor on this position?
I think the only other people who live in the state rep district are Nick and Destiny, and they're running for county commission.
Okay, then.
So we've got
I guess we will hand it over to you, Sherry.
All right. I ran for State Board of Education for the Green Party 3 times from 2014 to 2018. I learned so much about education in Michigan between attending school board meetings in Detroit before and after, Williamson to get a rural one in Benton Harbor, where Reverend Pinckney is at. Some of us were there at least a couple times. Sheila may have heard from Jennifer about our trip there. And I wanted to find some place to use it, and the state legislature is the best because they're the ones who are supposed to be seeing that the funding for schooling does happen. Now, fortunately, for all 4 of us, we are not running against incumbents, which is certainly an interesting and a good thing. So we've got a fresher playing field than we might otherwise have. I shadowed my state rep. He's a very progressive person. I've seen him a lot of the same rallies like gun sense, education. He's favoring the progressive income tax, which is in our Michigan Constitution, it's a flat tax. So it has to be a constitutional amendment. But I favor that, as we all do as well. Transit, the changing mass incarceration is something. I've got our Gray Panthers group is going to be talking about that on the 20th. So the people who aren't going to the Green Party convention can be zooming into that one. So there's a lot of activism. I've explored this run for 1.5 years, and I found that more people know me in all 7 communities than I expected. And people who know me are saying, well, it's not a surprise, you've been everywhere. And in fact, at the UAW endorsement interview yesterday, I said that I am probably better known in those 7 communities than all 7 Democrats who are running in the primary for the position. And I reminded the UAW that we are, do not take corporate donations. And if nothing else, I gave a really good pitch for the presence and the value of the Green Party to that union. I'm done.
Thank you, Sherry. Okay, we'll take any questions from the group. Questions again, limited to 30 seconds. Anybody have a question? Dan, you're muted.
He's talking to himself.
Okay.
Right, I'm looking for the way to raise my hand. There's a way to do that, and I don't see it now.
Mouse over the thing. If there be reactions at the bottom.
Can't do that as a host.
Oh,
Yeah, and so I just want to be polite. I don't want to just start. trying
If
to-
you look under participants along the top or wherever it is on your thing, you can actually click on your name and you have the option to say raise a blue hand or wherever
Really?
that is. Yes.
Oh, just
Oh, yeah. I was clicking on somebody else. There's so many Green Party of Michigans in here. And so I'm going to give up on that. I can't figure out which one I am. Yeah. So,
there's 3 of them.
yeah. Okay. So I got a question for you. I'll come up with one. Let me see. And so transparency is one of our key values. And I don't remember. I know it's not number 5 because number 5 is my favorite. I already asked you about that one, but let's talk about transparency. What does transparency mean to you, Sherry? And how would you try to, make that evident in your position, if elected to office? How would people say, well, that Sherry sure is for transparency. I can see it because she does this or that or the other thing. Can you help
Okay,
me?
I have used Freedom of Information Act on my school board, on the city of Detroit, and I was astounded to find out that it doesn't exist for the state government. And I learned that from my state representative. And so I would certainly follow whatever he started on that and keep pushing on that one as well. Oh, one thing I did want to mention is that Nick and Destiny's County Commission districts are also all or part in my state rep district. So we can run together, we can share resources. And in all those precincts, they're going to have 2 Green Party people on those ballots.
Thanks. I got another question. How do we get money to you guys?
I need to set up my website to do that, but I certainly can take checks by mail right now. I opened up my bank account today with someone who had sent me a check.
Okay. I know it's not tax deductible, but I'd do it anyway.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I take the tax deduction anyway. No, I won't.
Oh,
I'm only
Well, it's
kidding.
nonprofit, that's for sure.
there any other questions for Sherry?
Make one up, Nick.
Yeah, this is recorded.
Robin came up with a good one or two when we had a
Okay.
session.
Okay, so what is the most important environmental issue to you, Sherry? And how will you prosecute your interest in that particular issue as a state rep?
Probably statewide, the Great Lakes are most important. And I was very impressed when I watched a PBS show about the marshlands along the Great Lakes and how important they are for keeping them clean. And my reason for watching that is I may be a state rep for Oakland County, but the whole state of Michigan is also mine. And when we get talking about the Great Lakes, we've got a pipeline. And no, it doesn't go through Oakland County, but it certainly affects the entire state. What I think affects Oakland County most is transit. And I've been working on that for a long time and would continue to work on that.
Good answer.
Very good.
Mark
Thank you,
Hines.
Okay, thank you. So I was wondering, how do you think that the Green Party can kind of take the energy that's kind of being, you can see out with the protests on the streets, and that I think people have more open ear to listening to systemic issues and transform it into kind of voting in terms of the Green Party over kind of the usual parties they're used to.
Someone else was just talking with me about, or online about trying to get some Green Party presence at some of these demonstrations. And one of the things I've been nagging for a long time is that we need to have, I have a Black Lives Matter Green Party button. I didn't wear it yesterday, and I don't know why not, because I've worn it for years and have had all kinds of people thank me for wearing it. Black, white, old, young, male, female. We have had people say, oh, I'd be glad to have Green Party members help us with this cause and that cause. I said, they are, but they're not wearing, they're wearing the t-shirt for the cause, and they're not wearing their Green Party t-shirt. So we need some things that we can wear with those t-shirts. I'm in favor of these vest type things where you can show both. But at least we need to wear a great big button saying Green Party. So when we are at these things, people see that we are. I went to a march recently and I had my Green Party shirt. Someone, because we're wearing masks, they still knew who I was because it was the Green Party t-shirt and the white hair.
Mhm.
So we can talk more later, Mark, because we're in the same county.
Very good. Any other questions for Sherry before we?
Sherry, contrast yourself between the 7 Democrats, because I don't know if one of the 7 Democrats is the perceived front runner and is probably going to win, or if it's going to be a toss up between 3 or 4 of them or what. But it's going to come down to one Democrat and you basically that would have the chance to win this seat. What makes you more different than the Democrat? Why should we vote for you instead of voting for a Democrat?
Towards the end of the UAW interview yesterday, I knew that the next person they were going to interview is a woman named Regina Weiss, who lives in Oak Park. And I said, she and I go to the same church. I said, she's an educator. I said, but for this time right now, I am still the better candidate. And I didn't even mention that of the 6 or 7 others, I said, I'm still better known in our 7 communities than all of the rest of them put together. And that because of my longtime activism. And some of those people I think are like teachers and social workers that want a better paying job. So they're running because I only heard of Regina because we go to the same church. And she didn't realize that when I was showing up at the Oak Park City Council meetings, which she's on, that I was doing my exploring. So that's how I'm different. Thanks, man.
Okay, and any last questions before we go on?
Gary, I asked you one about policing. Remember that? What you thought about abolishing the police, the latest rhetoric that a lot of the candidates are putting forth, and how you would handle that in Oakland?
I answered that one at the UAW answer yesterday too. There's a Savannah, Georgia police officer who'd been in the military, and he said the way the United States is doing the military is not working, and doing the policing the same way is working even less well. And here's a policeman saying we need to talk about communities. Those are not the people I work for are not perpetrators, they're my neighbors. And that's his approach, is the neighbor approach, rather than looking at everybody as a possible victim or a possible perpetrator. And that's the kind of thing. And there's also redirection of money, police money, that can go in other places, like mental health, for example. Someone has estimated that half of the people in our prisons really need to be in mental health treatment instead. Should have been in mental health treatment, and they wouldn't have gotten anywhere near there.
Yeah.
All right. I guess if there are no more questions, we can move on to.
Thank you.
We can move on to voting consensus for Sherry Wells for the 27th District, Southeast Oakland. I'm not sure how you Oakland County members are going to vote, or if you just wanted to go by consensus on this. Just
We have 9 of us who are entitled to vote for Oakland County candidates.
I vote for you.
I vote for me.
Well, second, third it, whatever we're up to.
Yeah. All in
I'm in
favor?
favor.
Yep, Linda said yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Sheila and Martin?
Yes.
I heard aye, okay. Nick?
Aye.
So enthusiastically.
I think we've got unanimous consensus on the
Bill? Okay.
on the vote.
Thank you all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean it mentions in the agenda acclamation?
Well,
Now,
consensus
what,
is
the paperwork.
consensus is enough.
I'm sorry.
Consensus is enough.
Ah, okay. Well, congratulations, Sherry.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Okay, next on the agenda is state representatives from other district. There are no candidates that are running now. Are there any nominations from the floor? No? Okay, we'll move on. Let's see, County Commissioner, District 18, Nicholas Rowley. Nicholas?
Yes, hello. Hello.
Would you like to
I
take
mean,
some
it is
time?
Nicholas, but I generally go by Nick.
Okay, Nick.
I generally go by Nick unless you're asking one of my sisters, and then it's Chris, but that's something entirely different. Okay. So, hello everyone. As you can tell, I'm not from these parts originally. I am from Cork in Ireland originally. I grew up in Stratford-on-Avon in England. I have been coming to this area since 1996, when I used to run a summer camp for kids from Detroit, Pontiac, Taylor, anywhere where they couldn't normally afford to go to summer camp. And then they would go up north, and I would be their program director and their arts and crafts director and stuff like that. So I would come over and do that. I eventually moved over here. I have worked in theater, but I've also worked in financial analysis for GM. But I have worked professionally in theater since I was 11, because that's what happens when you grow up in a town like Stratford-on-Avon. And I continue to. In fact, I am actually have just recently started a new theater company. So it's a whole world of new ventures for me right now. I've also worked on campaigns on both sides of the Atlantic, going with whoever I could find was the most left wing, because I am very left wing. So yeah. And I am a Green Party member because the Green Party is probably the most left-leaning party that I can find in the US that actually has electoral viability. And that pretty much sums everything up, I think.
Very good, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Nice to
No
meet you,
problem.
by the way.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Okay, any questions from the floor?
Please, Nick, tell us about the homework you've been doing since about January with this position in mind.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, I have been following various political, issues, reading up about environmental policies that people have had. And I always have had an interest in environmental policies, especially as they pertain to water, water systems, filtration, sewage, things like that. But I've also been following along other things like Royal Oak Township's marijuana or cannabis, however you want to phrase it, ballot initiative. And in general, I have a very wide and diverse network, which includes a lot of politicians. I'm pretty good friends with Andy Meisner and his mother, and I actually sit on the boards of the Friends of the Oak Park Library, Oak Park being one of the, half of Oak Park being one of the towns within my district. But I'm the programming chair for the Friends of the Oak Park Library as well. So yes, I'm very involved in political issues and the milieu, and I have been following along from that. Actually, even before January, I just tend to do that.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions from the floor?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes. Nick, are you a U.S. citizen?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a citizen since 2009.
Important.
Sorry?
Now, is that a dual citizenship or just you completely converted?
You know, technically I think it is dual, but in order to have any kind of access to British political things, you know, to vote, you never really lose that as a British citizen. You know, but in order to, like, so if I wanted to vote in a British election, I would have to go through a whole bunch of paperwork and things like that. It's not an automatic. I just, you know, I'm a US citizen and I probably would still have access to it, but it's not something that I've ever really pursued.
Very good. You know, just a question for you, just a general question. Frankly, I'm a little ignorant about county commissioner. What do you actually see as the job from your point of view?
Okay, well, you know, obviously the job is one in which I'm representing several communities and also the county as a whole. But so my concerns for the position are helping those who live within the communities that I represent, but then also considering all of the things for the county as a whole, interacting with the governor and the rest of the county government up in Pontiac. You know, so as with most representational constituency type public offices, your role is partly to keep those whose residences you are directly representing in mind, but also to look to the wider community of the larger area of which you make up the commissioner board.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? No? Okay.
No?
I guess we can look for a vote or consensus. Are there any concerns? If no concerns, then we can go with consensus.
Okay.
I'll second.
Wonderful.
I think you have consensus. Congratulations.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. I'm really looking forward to this this whole process. It will be, you know, I've been involved in a lot of politics on both sides of the Atlantic, and I've never actually run, you know, specifically as the candidate, but I have been involved with a lot of different things, including one time the leader of the Liberal Democrat Party, Liberal Democrats in England. So, hooray! Okay, thank you, everyone.
This is exciting. Stay in touch. Let us know what's going on with your campaign too.
Absolutely. One thing I will be doing as well, I still need to set up a bank account, is I will also be looking into like doing a cash app thing so people are able to donate that way, which will be connected to my bank account. I can't do other virtual payments because they're tied to my personal account, but Cash App we can do.
Yes, one of the things that goes along with my coaching is telling you what the rules are in terms of how we can collect money and what we can and cannot collect. I think you already know that we don't take corporate donations or PAC money, but I'll make sure that all four of us know the rules so that we don't get in any trouble and can easily encourage people to contribute time and treasure to have us succeed.
I'd like to see everybody's websites too. When you get if you haven't already, when you get them up and going, that would be great. Okay. Sorry for the slight interruption. I had to mute myself. The dog was saying hello to a dog going by in a very loud manner. Anyway.
It's okay. Destiny knows who's next. I think she saw that on the screen, and so
yes.
she's
County Commissioner, District 17.
Hello.
Destiny Clayton.
Hi guys.
Destiny.
To tell you about myself, I grew up really poor. My mom has a lot of mental health issues. I was homeless at 16 and dropped out of high school. I joined the Army at 18 to get my GED because it was the only option really available to me at the time. I scored extremely high. I ended up working on missile launchers for the Army, like the TOW and the Javelin. I did about a year of training in Redstone Arsenal. After the Army, I've done a lot of different careers, everything from truck driving, serving tables, to I went back to school for dental assisting. I spent a couple years doing dental assisting, but I absolutely can't stand it. There's something just soul killing about telling people that are in pain and can't afford it that they have to lose their teeth, or it's soul draining. And I really wanted the ability to help the people of my community, and I think that the Green Party was the best way to do that because your party represents most of my core beliefs the best. And I'm sick of waiting for other people. If I can't depend on anybody else to tell me the truth about what they're gonna fight for, then I'm gonna fight for it. I'm sick of waiting around. So I might not be the most traditionally educated or the strongest candidate in history, but this means something to me, and I want to change things. I want to make things better for the people around me. And I guess that's me. Anybody have any questions?
I have the same one I asked Nick, and that's what kind of homework have you been doing for the county commission office?
Okay, as far as I understand it, I went with county commissioner because locally I thought it was the way that I could make the biggest influence because I have control of the budget. Being in control of the budget gives you a lot of power. And I strongly believe that we overfund certain areas and underfund others. I'm not an expert by any means on how exactly legally I'll be able to transfer it from one place to the other, but I know the organizations that I'm going to get a hold of, like Black Lives Matter and a lot of other really good organizations to get the help I need to write the correct things and change the things that we need to in that budget.
Oh, impressive. Any other questions from the floor? Don't be bashful. I think you guys have a strong candidate here. Let her go. Just ask her
Kynes,
anything.
first on stick.
Okay, thank you. What would you say is probably your like strongest attribute in kind of going for your position?
The strongest thing I've been able to say for myself is that I'm a disabled veteran who just has spent her whole life trying to make everybody's life a little bit easier. I run an FRG. I ran the FRG when my ex-husband was active duty, which meant that I spent most of my time taking care of fellow soldiers and their families. I think that answered your question.
We have another question from the floor? Okay, in that case, we'll ask for consensus. Very good. Thank you very much, Destiny.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. So far, the candidates from Oakland County that have been speaking here tonight, I find you guys are fantastic. Sorry for the personal point of view. I think you would represent not just yourselves and your constituents, but the Green Party really well.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, county commissioners, other districts. You guys do not have a candidate officially running now. Any nominations from the floor? Okay. Well, we're moving on to Waterford Township Clerk, Jessica Venture. Jessica, if you'd like to go ahead and give us your thoughts on your candidacy.
So I moved out to Waterford about 3 years ago with my husband, and we kind of just fell in love with the area. And due to some life things and personal reasons, I had to leave for a little bit, but I'm back now. And I'm wanting to run for township clerk because I had a lot of people out there that when I was running for state rep back in 2018 under the Green Party, just kind of believed in me. For a third party candidate for a state rep, I ended up with 2,580 votes, which I was surprised to break 4 digits, honestly, but I was very, very humbled by that. And one of the reasons I wanted to run for township clerk is with all the hesitancy on elections and voting and the different things that are going on in today's climate. I wanted to be able to put some more and put better faith in that. I believe voting is something that we need to work on and try to get maybe some ranked choice voting in there, see if I can try to sway some people. But I have over 10 years of election inspector experience working the polls up in Genesee Township. I have a wonderful mentor, Wayne Bates, who is the county clerk up in Geneseo, that I can probe anytime I need to ask ideas. And one of the things that I learned about the Waterford Township clerk is they're in charge of keeping records and filing, which I've done multitudes of secretarial jobs. And so I'm pretty handy with all of that. But the other thing I've learned, because I applied for that position back in January of last year, because the current township clerk was retiring. And so they were hiring into the position on the interim. And I didn't make it. The current Kim Markey, I believe, is the current township clerk and got it. But I also learned that the Waterford Township clerk makes more than a state senator. So one of my first things that I want to do once that first year, once I get to actually help make some budget changes, is I want to cut the salary by about $20,000 to give the 6 employees that work at the township clerk office a raise. Because you don't need to make that. Sorry, no, but there's definitely allocations of funds that can go to other places, that can go to better places. And I feel with the voice of my political activism, I've adopted a park out there. I still maintain cleaning it up. My friends will snap a picture of my name on the sign and be like, hey, we visited your park today. I got a lot of politically active people out there that know me. Some that were trying to get the bully bans done, because Waterford Township is one of the places that bans pit bulls. They're trying to get that revoked. And they all know me really well. So between my activism with all the different things, I'm just trying to do good and do better. And I think this is the first step, with it being a non-incumbent seat and something that they didn't vote for. I think it's a great shot to get the best platform in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Any questions from the floor? Don't be bashful. Come on, guys.
What are some?
So, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Destiny. You first.
That's okay. What are some really important matters to you?
I'd say the 3 most important things that I'd want to touch on while being the township clerk would be to make sure that all, or at least suggest some revamping of the ADA voting machines, because I am very personally involved with that, because one of the voters in my township, or up in Genesee Township where I work, was on the board to get those machines in for people that are blind or deaf, and he cannot use them independently. The machines that they got in the state of Michigan just kind of suck for people that have disabilities to be able to use that. So that's one thing I'd like to try to get revamped and redone. The environment around Waterford. I was constantly going out and picking up trash on the side of the roads while I was campaigning and talking to people and organizing different movements like that. I was part of the Waterford cleanup when a Facebook group organized that. So I'd like to see more green things and water protection out there, because we're Waterford. Like, it's literally in our name. We have so much water out there that we just need to protect it. And then lastly would just be the diversity and equality, because like I'm literally sunburnt from the Black Lives Matter protest in Lansing yesterday and the one in Grand Ledge on Sunday. I took off work to go. And like, so just being able to give a chance for every voice to be heard, I guess, is those 3 things.
Wow, thank you. Nick, you had a question?
Actually, it was the same question. It was like, what are the most important things for you and how will you do that? But that basically covers that answer. So, yay. What do you think the biggest electoral challenge is for you when it comes to that position?
My biggest electoral challenge is going to be finding ways to do things, as weird as this is going to sound, without money. And let me explain what I mean. The last time I earned 2,580 votes with basically myself. Sherry was awesome enough to come help me campaign one time. So did Jennifer Kirkland. I had a couple like here and there, but most of my campaigning was cleaning up on the sides of the road. It was doing interviews. It was Facebook activism. I think I spent maybe $120. I got the waiver or whatever. And I did all of this through word of mouth with mainly one person. And this time around, I have a small team of like very awesome friends that I love. And now I have this awesome like 4-person Oakland County like mashup that we can do. And I think I can get even more done and probably even less because I know like signage and everything is very important and very valid, but it's also we're the Green Party. Like we don't want to be putting a bunch of plastic and paper out there that we don't have to. And if there's ways that we can do it without, or ways that we can find other ways of getting the message out there. And I also, one of my friends is running for as a Democratic candidate for Waterford trustee, and is willing to also campaign with me, so we can just go with like a progressive thing. So I have another person in the city itself. But the biggest challenges will be just finding ways that don't interfere with campaign finance laws that I would love to do, but people frown on.
Mm-hmm.
When she talks about
Very
progressive,
good.
most of the Oakland County townships are Republicans all over the place. So that's one of the challenges right there. So at least Greens and Dems both are unusual in Waterford Township. So that's where we can have some combinations of progressive Dems and Green Party and work together. So we have a numbers of us that are doing that kind of thing. Hey, Nick?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I just have a question for you, Jessica. This is mainly because I just got a hold of my county, clerk, to get access to absentee ballots. What's your feeling on absentee ballots and giving that to everyone?
Absentee voting should just be a right. We have ways of making it secure. I know the ins and outs in every single process and double check and every just back and forth that we need to do to verify if a person needs to vote when they've already gotten a ballot of absentee, to handle different things like that. And here, one moment. Sorry, my sister had to answer a phone call for me. But I know what the ways are. I know how to double check. I know how to make it secure, and I know how to make sure that basically in the 10 years I've been doing it, my precinct has had 0 errors in all 10 years. So like, I know how to do it. I know how to verify it. And if anyone wants a Q&A, if any constituent has problems, not only will I tell them the different ways, I will ask them, hey, come be an election worker. We need more people that know how to use computers. We need more people involved in the process. And once you are there and you see how it works, you'll have a lot more faith in the system.
Thank you. One more question. You mentioned, and I've known this since I've been an activist for animal welfare for quite a while. You did mention the pit bull ban in your area. First of all, I'm basically against any ban on any dogs in anywhere, as long as they are good, responsible citizens. What are your feelings on that? And is there a possibility that law may be overturned eventually?
Right now, before the pandemic happened in COVID-19, there was a bill that passed the House, was into the Senate, got pushed back to committee, that would have overturned it statewide. So no individual township or whatever would have been able to ban any breed. Anywhere a dog would be allowed, all dogs would be allowed. I know from experience, the current Waterford Township, I believe, Gary Wall, I could be mistaken on the name, I do apologize, but I believe that he's one of the people that's really pushing to keep that there. I do remember I kind of made someone a little mad because I had asked them in an email, hey, as a member of your city, what would someone want to do if they wanted to see about getting this overturned? And their response was, the board has already made its decision. Thank you for emailing. My response back was, I'm sorry, you misunderstood me. As your constituent who votes you in, I want to know what the process is to get something before the board to get something changed. They then sent me back the process on how to do such. But so yeah, I do think it is, especially if we get more progressives for trustee and township clerk and different things on the board. And if we can get a decent campaign and maybe even, because the weirdest thing is we have the Oakland County Humane Society in Waterford. It's right on that border between there. And there's a ton of pits in there and no one from Waterford can adopt them because
So sad.
it is. They are adorable. I'm sorry.
You're going to get into one of my favorite causes. Anyway, are there any more questions up from the floor? Okay, then can we call for consensus?
Yep. Aye.
Very good. Congratulations, Jessica.
Thank you, guys.
Again, I just want to say, you 4 candidates, oh, I just admire you. I think you've got some strong candidates in your area. It'll be a pleasure seeing how you guys, run your campaigns and how it works out for you. And I hope you all do real well.
Thank you.
Well, we can move on to other township offices. Are there any nominations from the floor?
I don't think we have anyone else. Sheila and Martin, do you live in a township? Did you say West Bloomfield?
Yes. Can you hear us?
If I tune it up, I can.
We're in Township, West Bloomfield Township.
Do you want to run?
No.
No, thank you.
Nice try, Sherry.
Appreciate the offer.
You can stand. Just have your name put in for it.
You run that precinct. I don't think that would work.
These are the 2 people who raised Jennifer, so I'm sure they know about running for office very thoroughly.
It's true.
Okay. What's next, Jim?
Well, I guess that wraps up every office that's on the agenda. I guess we can open it up. Does anybody have any announcements from the Oakland Greens? Or I guess we have a lot of people that just came in to watch. Maybe we can get some announcements going, see what's going on.
Well, we
Sherry?
can, Robin can talk about the GPMI convention for next Saturday, but while we're talking about getting elected in Oakland, one of the things that I've been telling a lot of young people, especially when they're moving into a new community, but it goes for most of us, is to attend a city council or commission or township board meeting, to attend a school board meeting, to pick one of those and find out what boards and commissions and committees are volunteer citizen things to support them. Hi, Lon. And get involved. When you get on those boards and commissions, you get to learn things, you get to know people, you get known. And that is a really good first step. In 2021, next year is when a lot of these local elections, most of the local elections will be occurring. And local, I think, is a good place to start. I'm referring to the four of us as our Oakland County Farm Team, although we already have someone on the Ferndale Library Board and on the Ferndale City Council who are Greens. And someone else said we should have every Township Parks Commission should be full of Green Party people. So we need more Greens to be able to fill those things. But there are openings. In fact, someone said 10% of the school board seats in the state are not run for. Well, they are in Oakland County, but there's other places where I see these big blanks where people could run for those offices. So think about it. School board and city commissions and stuff and township stuff is next year. And that's starting at even slightly lower, if you want to call it lower, closer to home levels than we are. But it's certainly possible. It's a good way to grow the party, is to get Greens elected. So that's my pitch.
Robin, do you want to take a few minutes on the upcoming nominating convention on the 20th? Robin, can you hear me?
I think she's frozen.
Oops.
Yeah, her screen, okay.
John Anthony, are you there? And unmute yourself. Give us a little update on what's going on.
Yeah, I clicking the wrong symbol. Sorry. Not a lot to report. You should. Everybody on the SEC should have gotten a ballot for the National Convention delegate vote. All right. And I've gotten 3 in so far out of 28, 26. Sorry. So 18 is the quorum. If we reach that, we'll consider decided. Otherwise, it has to go to the. I'll probably have to go to the convention anyway, which I would prefer not to have to do if we can manage it without it, because I'd rather save all our convention time for convention business. Also, we're getting a bunch of. We're still getting more poll ballots for the presidential preference poll. So far, we've got about 4% turnout. I hope we can do a little bit better than that. We still have basically a week. So if you haven't voted, please do. If you have, please talk to some of your other Green friends who haven't yet. That's about all for me, I think.
Okay, remember that the June 20th meeting will be like this on Zoom.
Yeah.
9 to 5. Check-in, I believe, starts at 8 o'clock. Or at least 8:30. So come early, stay late.
Yeah, well, stay late. At least we're not too late. Getting turned out of the building for the.
True.
Jim?
Yeah.
Jim?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
Robin, just fine. You want to go ahead and.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that I spoke with the 3 candidates who are running for president, and whoever wins the nomination is looking forward to coming back to Michigan and campaigning with all of us that win the nomination. So those of you that have done it here in Oakland, I hope you don't mind if whoever's our presidential nominee comes over and door knocks with you, or whatever we can do, depending on how this pandemic unfolds. I'm really excited about that. I think us having a unified front this year and a lot of green energy and getting out there and just canvassing the state, because we have candidates from the UP all the way down to Wayne County. I think this is going to be fantastic, and I just can't wait. And congratulations, Sherry, Destiny, who else? There's two more, Jeff and Nick. So I'm looking forward to working with you all. That's all I got to say. Come to the nominating convention and bring a friend. I'm out.
Yeah, how does someone, Lon came in a bit late, but if he'd like to, anyone would like to hear the recording, are you going to have, let me know so I can pass that on to people? How
Who
they,
is, who is that? I lost the network connection, and so I missed these two coming in, John Anthony and who's Lon?
Lon Herman, he's Oakland County.
I see, Lon Herman.
Yeah, he's around the corner from where I live.
Yeah, Dan, maybe you can answer Sherry's question. Live stream for this meeting, Sherry?
Yes, if
Talking about?
anybody who wasn't able to make it, or if Lon wants to watch our interviews, at least this way, you can just skip through just to the interviews. They were really good, Lon. So is there a link that I can send out to people?
It is being recorded. I'm not sure exactly where, so I will have to look into getting you that link.
Okay, as soon as you do, then I will pass it out to people.
Okay, I'll work on that as soon as we're done.
Well, this was an hour, which is wonderful. We got done what we needed to get done.
Great.
Like Jim says, unless there are any other announcements, then he can close us down. And we have been the guinea pig for the convention, and I think it worked smoothly.
I think so too.
I'm very happy with the way it's gone. You guys were all cooperative, and you candidates, again, just great.
Very nice.
Yeah, we have a few more windows at the convention.
There you go, yeah.
Sorry I was late. I thought it started at 7. So many things start at 7. I forgot that it starts at 6. So that's why I was late.
Okay, sorry, because I know a lot of things do start at 7, and I think that's why I wanted to be different. And Mark, I will talk to you later.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. And so will Daryl, obviously.
Sure will. Yeah. Did you get that link that I just sent to you?
All right, I'll check my.
Should be in the chat.
Email.
Sherry.
Okay, I'll look.
Okay.
See if that
All
works.
right, I've got a form to fill out, and then I will be taking everything up to Pontiac at 9 o'clock on Monday morning.
Thanks, Sherry.
Make us official. All right.
So
Good
about the recording, it is going live to YouTube, but I don't see the recording video anymore. So I'm not sure if there is video to access.
Okay, so it's live.
Oh
on-
yeah, just stop.
Now, there's a link in the chat right now.
Yeah, that's for the live stream,
Okay.
but to get to a video afterwards, I'm not sure. I know it was recording when we started, and then I got booted, and it was still recording when I logged back in, but now it's not recording. So,
Oh, that's okay. We're basically done.
yeah. But just to let you know, we might not have a recording of it. But
Yeah, I think it recorded up until just a few minutes ago, though.
Okay, good.
An hour's fine.
Oh, good.
Good, all right.
Okay, well, thank you, Sheila, Martin, Bill,
Yeah.
and Mark and Linda for coming too.
Bye, all.
Yeah, good to see
Thank you,
you.
everybody. You have a good evening. Good campaigning.
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Peace.